folks, to an extent, it's always been kind of like this, but it is probably now more than ever. Is that the content that's on the channel, whether it's Odyssey, YouTube, anything else I would decide to go to in the future, is as little money spent possible. And what that's meant in the past is pretty much I'll just get the games that I want. But also, I would have the PlayStation Plus, and I would do the grinding necessary to get the free Xbox Game Pass and stuff like that. So there was that too. And I've discussed the whole debacle with the online stuff too. Both that it's immoral. PlayStation literally lied about it, the whole thing, and the Xbox lied about that. The one that I picked, you wouldn't need a credit card for, and they lied about that. And that still hasn't been fixed, so that's the main difference between then and now. But I mean, even still, just with the games I choose to play, nowadays, just to me, I mean, like I've discussed before, I've been on the fence of making a video just about that. The gaming industry needs another crash like 1983, or at least as like 1983 as it could be in a modern day. I mean, gaming in general is too big to fail. It'll never crash like that ever again. I really don't think, or at least not in our lifetimes. But this isn't necessarily that, but it kind of just sums up my feelings in general. Is that you can probably figure it out that there's less games that I really want to play, that I want to buy anymore. Gran Turismo probably ain't it, and I mean, I unscripted videos, so I didn't really know exactly where to start with this, other than just a general intro I had in mind. So I guess I'll start with that. Yeah, I mean, as of now, I doubt I'm going to get Gran Turismo 8 or whatever it ends up being called at launch. I really don't think, and it have to be a pretty cotton picking big sale for me to even consider buying it, because most likely it would either be PS5 or it comes out so late it's PS5 and PS6, which to some extent is kind of how I would prefer it, because if I can just skip the PlayStation 5 generation altogether and have no real need to buy it, that's probably how I'd really prefer it, all things considered. Granted, I mean, as I've said before, in terms of lifespan and stuff to do in GT7, we best for GT8 or whatever it's called to come out as soon as possible. But GT7 was dead for like a year already, so for the most part, people only come for like a day to do whatever new content is added, and then it's dead again. So yeah, but I mean, I don't see any signs that Gran Turismo is going to improve all that much. Graphics will be slightly better, to be slightly more cars, but it'll probably be monetized even more than ever, and made even more corporate than ever without any actual fun to it other than just a general. Oh, look, there's the competitiveness and sport mode that only the top 0.01% get, or they have a very slight change to escapes or delivery editor or something like that. I mean, I really don't have much hope for GT8. And I mean, even if the trailers and such look good, the trailers and such looked good for GT7, and then we got the worst game in the franchise by far, and it's not like GT Sport was exactly impressive, so yeah. There's that for Gran Turismo, but I mean, now on the more positive, what I most likely will get is it's looking like, as of now, there's a pretty picking a chance I'm going to get Assetto Corsa Evo online. Again, that kinda depends on if the credit card situation works, but I mean, like I said, with PlayStation, I could just get it through a third party, and then with Xbox, I'm pretty sure I could go instead of through the literal Xbox Series S. I'm pretty sure I could just do it online through like the Microsoft Store or something like that. I'm not terribly worried about doing it through third party. It's just with both of those, it's quite annoying that I can't do either directly. I can't directly go on the Xbox Series S and get the Game Pass, even after getting the amount of points for it, because it, for some reason that they lie about, requires a credit card for it, even though I specifically picked the option that's not recurring, thus wouldn't need a credit card. And for PlayStation, I'm subproof, and it's still doing that to this day, to where I go to the literal thing that says PlayStation Plus. There's the thing at the top that says to renew PlayStation Plus. I click that, and quite literally nothing loads. With that, again, I could probably go on my phone and maybe you would just go to PlayStation.com and like do it through there. But I shouldn't have to go through a different method. It should be simple and streamlined way to take your money. You would think they would make that as streamlined as possible. So when they don't even put the effort into making taking your money as streamlined as possible, I'm not gonna bother with it either for the most part. But again, I probably would make the occasional exception if the game is good enough. And of course, if I'm going to at least assume before it comes out that I'm going to enjoy the game, I'd probably be making content on it. But I'm pretty sure I said, of course, the Evo would be next gen only, so get it for Xbox Series S, and then there's a problem with that console as well. So it's only 3 minutes of footage at any given time, so it's not like I'm going to be doing anything super competitive with that, as in specifying a whole race or whatever it may be. It would just be little miscellaneous clips and stuff. But with Assetto Corsa Evo having a giant open world, there should be room for a bunch of clips and stuff, theoretically. So that works out there. If Assetto Corsa Evo was just circuit racing, I doubt I would have got it. Maybe with a sale, but probably now with the giant open world, I will get it. I can't remember offhand exactly of how the open world compares to other open world games size wise and such, but just having a game with an actual like simulation feel to open world is unique in and of itself. Forza Horizon's about as close as it gets to it, and I mean, you can take Forza Horizon as you may. I mean, I've discussed that in the past. The core gameplay and such is good, but there's tons and tons of annoyances, monetization, and all that about it to the point of that it's drawing me off. And then also, obviously, the whole Xbox debacle. Anyway, but I mean, even before that happened, I wasn't playing it much. So yeah, there's that too, and also Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, just straightforward. If you're considering buying a video game in the next year or 7 when it comes out, then that's probably on average the one that you're considering buying most. I'm no different there. Yeah, I mean, I'll do what I can to get GTA 6 again at launch, but it would be for the Xbox Series S. I'm not so confident how well that's going to run on the Series S, but nonetheless, I don't really care that much about graphical fidelity as long as I can have miscellaneous fun with getting stupid clips and stuff like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure at least 90% of GTA 5 videos on the channel are less than 3 minutes, and generally speaking, the ones that aren't are more kind of like skip based and not really straight up special tating either. I think I did like one GTA 5 special tating, and it was just a random funny police chase that happened, and that was like 8 years ago or something. So GTA 6 will most likely work well for like miscellaneous clips and stuff that can be 3 minutes or under. Not terribly worried about that one for content as well. But I mean, genuinely, that's the only two off the top of my head that I can really think that would be considered buying. So for the foreseeable future, because there's not an actual release date, as far as I'm aware, for of course the Evo for Xbox Series. I'm definitely not ever getting gaming PC, which is a slight tangent there, although I've kind of discussed that too, as I'm not getting a new PC of any sort. I mean, I still have two shady options. I mean, I have a 13 or something like that old Euro PC, and then I have the 9 Euro laptop. The PC was of decent spec 13 years ago, and the laptop was crap of 9 years ago. It was like the cheapest one. But, yeah, those two work, so I mean, as long as I can open the actual library desktop app, and I still, for now, have two options to do so, then that's enough for me. And I can play Racing Bros online too, because that's compatible with Windows 7. The Mafia's Revenge, I couldn't really get that to work. I mean, maybe I can figure out a way around that or something. But I mean, also, it sounds like Racing Bros 2 will be console. But again, if I can avoid getting a PS5 completely, I will. I don't think they're ever really considering putting it on Xbox, I can tell. And most likely, if Mafia's Revenge doesn't work on my old PC or laptop, it wouldn't work for 2. Either maybe they'd put it on PS4. I don't know. We'll see. For Racing Bros 2, but I mean, when that's like the game that's even the closest to what I would be considering getting off the top of my head between or other than the other two, then that's kind of a sad state of affairs. Granted, if another game just goes on a massive sale, I'll consider it. Like if the Crew Motorfest gets to $1, like the Crew 2 was, but I think a lot of that is because Ubisoft is getting such terrible flack as it was deserved and still even somewhat is. As long as Ubisoft keeps on failing, then there's more and more of a chance of Crew Motorfest and other games being a whole heck of a heap cheaper because they need to please the user base, but we'll see on that. I'm not necessarily expecting it. And that can go for any other games too. Just Crew Motorfest, I guess theoretically, would be the most likely of that, and I don't think I'd have to worry about that much because I can choose between PS4 and Series S just so I could do longer content. I would seriously consider PS4, plus it would be theoretically cheaper, but if all options are or $1, I'd probably just go ahead and go with Series S too there too. Especially too because Xboxes on average have been better with backwards compatibility, so if there is a next generation Xbox, although that doesn't seem super likely, the Xbox Series S and would probably be more likely to play than the PS5 game on a PS6. We'll see. I mean, theoretically, hopefully by next generation they figure that out completely and we'd be able to play through all the consoles and stuff, but I mean, still, extremely wishful thinking for either or. There might not even be a PS6 competitor, and it's going to be monopolized and outright terrible. So theoretically, the PS5 might have been the last decent console that's really ever made. I don't have all the two terrible problems of the Series S itself. The main one is that it can only save 3 minutes of footage. That's the main one. And I have a lot of problems with Microsoft, and that's kind of why they're failing. I can see that, but I mean, even if PlayStation has a monopoly, it doesn't matter how bad the other company was. If they have a full monopoly, then they have the power to make it even worse. Granted, I mean, there's still always somewhat of competition with PC, but I mean, I would never be able to afford a new PC realistically. And as much as it's stupid that the PlayStation 5 new version is as expensive as it is, one, they realize that monopoly is probably on the horizon, so they're getting cocky. And two, it's still probably a little bit cheaper than a PC and more reliable and all that in the immediate cost, but it probably ends up equaling out and then a lot more because they can play for free. Online, I can have mods for old games and have a whole heck of a heap of fun. Like, mainly that would be like Gran Turismo 4 mod and stuff like that. But it can also go into another thing, mentioning the Gran Turismo mods is, I mean, even for, like I mentioned at the end of the Fortnite video of GT6, my theory with that is that I haven't done tons of research on it because it's ever changing and updated, and there are different people doing different mods for it. But at least from what I can tell, to some extent, there is an actual way, albeit I don't know if I'll do that way or can do that way. I'll get to that in a minute. To still play GT6 online on a PS3. If it takes anything newer than a Windows 7 PC to be able to get the mods to then set it up to run on the console, then I'm screwed. And I'm very much worried about that because I haven't really looked at the exact details because those are ever getting updated and there's a few different ones and stuff. But I mean, generally speaking, I've seen stuff before to where using enough stuff on the PC to where you can get mods and stuff, you can have that running and then be able to do enough to where there's functions that you can do on the PS3 via what you get on the PC that I can just use my old PS3 and be able to play GT6 online again. And my PS3 controller ain't in the dandiest shape, so I'd have to go with that. I vaguely discussed it before. There were people even with me in the past and stuff, and they played it, so it got older and such. So yeah, it ain't in the best condition. They weren't really the nicest of that, but whatever. I'd prefer not to get a new controller and all that, but I mean, I will see about that. I'm still not so confident on that. I mean, like I said at the end of the Fortnite video, there's big ifs and all that. I don't know if I can figure it out, but that's more of the specifics into the kind of the mini spoiler I said at the end of the Fortnite video. Is that, yeah, there's maybe a chance I could play GT6 and I'll try and figure it out, but I mean, even if I do get playing this, I probably won't be playing it to absolute dainties. Because I prefer not to have to buy a new PS3 controller, because there's probably no such thing as a new PS3 controller, so I just have to test my luck on getting a used one, and it might be crap, it might not work, it might be third party, whatever. Let's see how that goes. And I have no idea how much those are nowadays. I haven't gotten a new PS3 controller in like 9 years, probably, at this. Well, I know I got one maybe 6 or so months after. I have to think of that for. I got a PS3 for college. And I'm trying to think if that came with a controller. I don't think it did. So yeah, it would have been like, I think mid to late 2015 or something is when I got the last one. Yeah, but whatever, that's a moot point. Just it's not something that I've actually thought about in depth before, so I had to slow down and think about that for a minute. But yeah, nonetheless, I mean, I'll deal with that. So it's not like I'm going to be playing that super competitive anyway. It'll be more of like a nostalgia trip and just scurrying around drifting the RAM and all that. I mean, from what I can tell, the people that play that now are quite competitive with it, especially the top end of that. I have no chance of competing against them. I mean, GT6, there were quite a few tracks I was good at, but I didn't really have any like Tokyo Expressway type track back then, and that's even when I played a whole heck of a heap, like 2016 to 18 or so. Now, being 6 years of Rusty, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. GT6 would not be a competitive manner, even if I can play in it, and there's no promises whatsoever that I can even get that to work. And also, kid is saying theoretically is maybe I could make stuff work on a phone and all that too. Of all the things to get, of what would realistically have the highest chance to between like console, I'd prefer to just skip PS5 altogether and wait to PS6, and PS6 might suck, so it might not happen at all. I might never get a new gaming console. What I'm saying. PC, it's not. It wouldn't ever be a truly new. Like up to this year, one I might get something newer than a 9-year-old crappy one that runs on a Windows 7, but I wouldn't be spending much money on it, and even of that, a PC immediately nosedives in value and isn't as reliable as a console in general. So realistically, the thing that would have the most chance, albeit still fairly small, is a phone. I mean, realistically, as much as I don't like it, I mean, if this phone ever downright fails and it's 8 or 9 years old, it's a Samsung Galaxy S7, however old that is. I think it is going on 9 years old now. If that fails, then, I mean, realistically, I have to get a phone. Again, it'd probably be the same with PC. It wouldn't be of it to the newest model or whatever, but chances are it would be better than the, I think, going on 9-year-old phone or whatever it is. Now, but I mean, even that kind of goes into the final issue, not really of the monetary stuff directly, it's the video editing and all that. There are free video editors. I mean, as you've seen, there's edited videos with Share Factory from the PS4 direct footage, and there's edited videos that's like stuff together and all that, like I've done with compilations where I download the video and I put them together and all that. There's free editors on my phone. But the problem with that is there's problems even now with YouTube. It's been YouTube for quite a while and I have right yonder. I mean, even Odyssey does not come free from this rant either. But I'll start with YouTube. Is that even when it was still YouTube with a lot of their policies and stuff, generally speaking, I could get the video uploaded pretty well if it was from my phone. There's still a terrible problem with getting it just direct PS4 capture. That's still going all right for the most part. It seems like in some cases it seems to be kind of slower, and again, the PS4 capture skips, but that's not necessarily directly on YouTube. But nonetheless, that one still ends up working, albeit maybe a bit slower now. It's through what I end up editing on the phone. With YouTube, I initially recorded both the Fortnite video and the facilitating my first Gran Turismo in 480p of what like this video is. But when I try to upload them, there's quite a few problems there. My phone, and I can't figure out any way to do it, even like manually just setting something light on the screen itself doesn't stay on for more than 10 minutes at a time, and thus doesn't run in like sleep mode or whatever for some reason. I know my phone's fairly old, but from what I can tell, it never did that. There's no way that I can have the screen off and the stuff in the background still working, and that's extremely annoying. So one, I'd have to mess with the phone every 9 minutes or something, so I'd have to time that out, or just guess, or whatever, or be way early on it, however I wanna go with that. But then, theoretically, I could download the YouTube Studio app where I could just have that going, and it's a third-party app that's doing the work, and I wouldn't have to worry about the phone. But then my phone doesn't really have enough space to have that app on there to have room to then record more than a few videos at a time, so I couldn't really do a backlog of stuff to where I could get a few videos ahead if I download Studio. I've somewhat talked about that before. And if the phone turns off, the video doesn't keep loading either, which it actually does for Odyssey. So that part of Odyssey is a big deal. I'll get to the Odyssey thing in a minute. Odyssey gets a plus in that a video can pause, even though I'd rather it not, and it can just keep going at whatever percent it pauses. Too, but another problem with YouTube is I've had videos before that say they're done, so then I don't really bother with the phone, but they're still doing processing and stuff like that. Like sometimes I can use the phone editor to AI upscale stuff to 4K, and it takes a while to process to 4K, so be it. So I let it do its thing, and then I go back and it forever says it's processing. It never finishes that. Theoretically, the processing should have nothing to do with me physically. It should just get all that done on its own. There's nothing I should have to do with the processing other than just wait for it to get done. But yet, it still glitches and messes up with that. And my internet's just slow enough, there's nothing I can really do about that. They're starting to slowly get a little bit better internet around about fairly close to me, but exactly where I am, it's still the same old slow internet. I pretty much have the best internet available, and it's 1 megabyte of upload. It's as fast as it goes, unless maybe it's a company, but at least for individual housing, 1 is as good as it gets around here, or at least like within a few miles of here, I think. So yeah, that's not Danish. There's nothing I can do about that. I don't really have the money or resources in yet to just outright move either. So yeah, I'm stuck with the internet speed. But lo and behold, you get what I'm saying is even just a 20-minute video in 480p, if it's actually showing stuff on screen, and it's not just what I do here is I literally just record the back of my chair, which is black, so black uses the least amount of megabytes possible, or however you want to word that, so the video has its lowest file possible, and it saves it. But if there's anything that's actual like content on the screen to look at, then it doesn't really work. But in the past, it would actually work, because in the past I didn't really have to worry about YouTube screwing up with uploading video as long as I had the phone itself on. I could then go, all I really had to do is just keep that tab open. I could go, like say I'm using a browser to upload video, as long as I had that browser tab still open, and I could go to like the library app or something and watch videos. As long as I keep the phone on itself, then it worked. But in the past, like for a week or so, even that's quit working. I mean, maybe that's a temporary thing, I don't know. But I mean, even still, and whether that's temporary or not, it's still worth making the whole video. This is a minor thing, the whole video. Anyway, so I mean, yeah, there's a lot of problems with that kind of compile into what it ends up now. So then I have to go to the video editor and then like use AI to actually downscale it to 360p is as low as that goes, and to some extent I kind of prefer that to even be lower. The Fortnite video that was 47 minutes was still glitchy with that. So essentially what I'm saying is that unless YouTube can fix their stuff, which I have no confidence in whatsoever, is either I have to have a video recorded like this on my phone, not the direct capture from the PlayStation, but from on my phone, recorded like this, but there's nice content to look at, or I can show the stuff and it has to probably be like 10 minutes or shorter to even be in 480p, and there's basically no realistic of it being in 720, because then it goes now to Odyssey. And I mean, theoretically, I could probably record something on my phone for 15 seconds in 4K, and even that would upload fine to YouTube. But it ain't gonna run on Odyssey. This is the Odyssey rant. I've discovered with channel for my pets, Kipper and Friends, which is Odyssey exclusive, mainly just because I don't really feel like having yet another email address to have to remember password for and all that on YouTube, and it doesn't really make sense to advertise for Odyssey on YouTube of a just channel for my pets that's meant to be more upbeat and just happy-go-lucky and all that. So if I just have a random, hey, go watch this on Odyssey in the middle of pets playing, it doesn't really exactly have the same itch to it. But the point being is I recorded like a 30-second video in 4K, and it like the actual speed in which it uploaded and all that was fine for Odyssey, and then it said the bit rate was too much. There's a video that I recorded directly on Odyssey for the Kipper and Friends channel in 2020 with Kylie in 4K, and that was like 2 minutes long. and it worked perfectly fine. Same phone, longer video, same browser, same. If anything, it should be theoretically better Odyssey now, but it worked in 2020. Maybe I uploaded it through Library TV. I can't really remember, but the point is that it could be watched on Odyssey for at least like a year or so. I can't remember the exact time when it quit. But lo and behold, after some time, the video couldn't be watched directly on Odyssey. Even still, now, of any 4K video ready to record on the phone, PlayStation, whatever, can still be watched perfectly fine of what my internet allows on Library, the physical app, or I could go to desktop, either or desktop or laptop, whatever, and watch it, or the Android app that crashes, and it works. It always works back when there's library.tv as well. That's a different discussion. I don't really feel like getting into the library TV thing. I've gotten that in the past. Yeah, there's that too. And that didn't end up working out. If I try and play even the old 4K video or upload a new one or whatever, the old ones don't play anymore, and the new ones say the bitrate is too high. So then, even though my phone can naturally record 4K, as old as the phone is, I mean, it can still do 4K videos, it can still watch 4K videos. It's plenty enough for me. I mean, my internet still, even to this day, can't even do 4K videos really, but I can download a video and watch it. And that's generally how I do it with 4K stuff. Yeah. So, I mean, that's an option too, is if you really wanted to, you could also download video and see it. But, I mean, when I can't even upload a 4K video directly on Odyssey now, there's obviously by default you can't download if I can't upload the new ones in the first place, but you can actually download the old ones if you want. A video ain't playing, there's options for that. One, it's you can download it. Two, more what I specifically do is to just watch it on Library. Or three is so that the videos actually are on YouTube anyway, because initially those were Odyssey exclusive, so it kind of has a double feature. And so they end up on YouTube eventually anyway. I'll do them as shorts, but also I can actually do those in 4K. Because, I don't know if it's glitch or feature, but anything under 7 seconds just doesn't upload to Odyssey anyway. I use it as a feature, so I can make the shorts under 7 seconds, and I don't have to worry about them syncing to Odyssey, because if they're in 4K, they wouldn't play. So I can upload the 4K short to YouTube. It doesn't sync to Odyssey anyway, because if it synced, it wouldn't play. And then it's both in a short, so it's kind of a new format in and of itself, and it does a different thing than what a normal video would. It's in a higher resolution quality, and there's miscellaneous edits to that, depending on the individual one, to actually make it shorter and stuff to fit with that. So it's kind of in enough of a new way where I don't really feel too bad about having to do that, but it's still annoying that Odyssey doesn't play the Xbox stuff anyway, and that's mainly what the shorts are. If it's a previous 4K video or it's a previous Xbox video, eventually it'll probably end up on YouTube. But again, I've kind of discussed that in the past as well. That's just re-up on how that's going, how it started to how it's going type mean there. But it's kind of working to some degree with that. But anyway, the point being is that I used AI. I'm finally actually getting to the point. Unscripted video there. And went out tangent, albeit somewhat important and somewhat related, but not directly. The point I was initially getting is that, yeah, then a video that I can naturally record in 4K, I then had to AI downscale to 1080, and it still said the bitrate was too high. AI downscale to 720, still said the bitrate was too high. AI downscale to 640, I think, is what it ended up, and that one loaded. Also, then I tried as a test to record a video of the same length, not the exact same content, because obviously I can't repeat the exact situation again with pets. That's not realistically possible. So I tried to naturally record in 720p, and it still said the bitrate was too high. So either using AI to downscale it, or just naturally recording in 720p directly from my phone, the bitrate is too high. I mean, I've said for a while now, the main reason why I recorded in 480p for a while now, actually, is because it would lag on Odyssey, and then I could just go to the library and watch it fine, and then there was also the secondary reason is have more space so I could do backlog of videos and stuff recording in 480p, so it's somewhat of a win-win there. When it's just me talking like this, it doesn't really matter what resolution it is because the phone picks up my voice the same. Like, whether it's 480p or 4K, my voice sounds the same. It's the actual resolution of what you're seeing that's different. So if I'm recording it like this, there's no difference realistically. But yeah, so it was like probably at least 2 years now of it lagging. So I mean, even I said at the time, that's why I switched to 4K because it had double, or from it to 480p there because it had double things there. Even in 720p, it would lag some, but now it doesn't even play at all. Like now, like then I just kind of by choice went to 480p. I wasn't that forced to do so. Now I'm required to. I don't know exactly when that change happened, but yeah, it did. I don't know if that's directly my phone problem because the 720p video of direct capture in PlayStation 4 ends up fine on both, well, all YouTube, Odyssey, and Library. The only way any other 720p or up video works now is on Library, always, and YouTube to some extent, like I've already discussed. So, yeah, that's not the dandiest, really. I mean, to some extent, you can sum all this up beyond the actual monetary of consoles and stuff. It's just use Library, that still works, but I mean, that's bittersweet to say. Is that, I mean, it's cool that Library was coded so well that even so long after the company doesn't even exist, that their stuff is actually still working so well. It's bitter in that Odyssey still hasn't kept up to what Library did like 4 years ago. If anything, Odyssey's gotten worse since then, so yeah. Again, that's somewhat to do with the government. I mean, I get the government screwed it to where Odyssey's not really so profitable anymore, but I mean, still. Odyssey's not so profitable anymore. Library doesn't exist anymore, and yet Library still puts out the better product for watching videos. Yeah, Odyssey's not at all immune from this rant. So to end off, you could just be saying, "Oh, I could just get better capture software. For one, expensive, as I've discussed before, as it's not dangerous money. Two, theoretically, if I'd get better software, I'd probably have to get a better phone and or PC to actually use it. And like I've discussed there, it's not realistically possible. And three, I mean, to some extent, even if I had the money, you'd have to consider the actual value of it with content as well. Even if I had the money, I mean, it's not like it would necessarily be worth it just for the actual content at the time being right now anyway. I mean, to end off the video, I mean, I think y'all can tell, YouTube videos ain't really getting dangerous views anymore, unless it's something that YouTube can force an ad in, aka 100 views or above. That's how they do it. On any channel, if it's 100 views or above, they can put ads in it. Especially if it's over 8 minutes, they're going to put ads in it. So, yeah, if they can see a way to do that, it puts the video to where it gets over 100 views, and they can put a whole heck of a heap of ads. And again, always and forever use ad block and whatever you can get it to work on. Yeah. And there's nothing do it unless it's a video that can get well over 100 views and they can get ad money to that they don't give back to me whatsoever. Then videos ain't doing so good. And then with Odyssey, it's just right in the middle of switching between library and Arweave, so we're in this awkward middle ground to where it's kind of purgatory. We don't really know what's going on. Site in of itself ain't having the dandiest traffic compared to what it used to. Again, a lot of that's the government's fault, to be fair. That's not fully on Library Odyssey, that's mainly the government, but still, we're just at an awkward point now to where even with the specifics with the software, anything in general, no matter what you want to put to it, it all kind of comes down to the investment versus profit type thing. I mean, as of now, as much as I do it more to benefit y'all to some extent, I mean, like I said, I attempted to actually do it full time, and as of now, I'm not even making LBC. So, I mean, maybe things work out in the future with Arweave. We truly really don't know with that, but I mean, for the time being, is even if the money was there, it'd still be iffy of investing it on any one particular thing or everything or however you want to word it. Because we don't really know the future yet. I mean, maybe things work out in the future. If I can make enough money for Arweave and stuff like that, then maybe I can get any specific thing or all the things or however it ends up working out with that. But I mean, for now, we don't really know, and that's no one's fault specifically or whatever. That's just how it is. So, I mean, yeah. I don't really have money or want for new games. It's kind of the same with the consoles in and of itself. Sure, there's new phones that sort of kind of want or whatever it may be. I don't really even do all that much research for phones because I don't really consider it all that much. If I can watch a video in 4K, that's really enough for me. I might want individual features or whatever, but this phone is fine for me. That's kind of the same with the PC and laptop as well. As long as I can get to the library app itself, that's enough for me. For PC and all that. For capture software, I mean, anything's and everything of slight improvements and all that better, but when the videos don't upload anyway, it's kind of a moot point. I can have as good a software and all that as I want, but the videos themselves don't particularly upload. There's nothing I can do. But I can get all the fancy stuff I want and all that, but when YouTube and Odyssey ain't working as good, it doesn't really matter how fancy stuff that I have if the actual things that put the videos on themselves ain't working. Maybe things work out in the future. It kind of starts and ends there for Arweave, realistically. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully it does. It's too early to tell. But for now, it's just kind of a weird purgatory of that. Yeah, as little money spent as possible. Realistically, let's spend money on a set of course Evo and Grand Theft Auto 6, but I mean, those don't even have release dates. So for the later or foreseeable future, in that there's not an exact release date for either of those yet, I'm going to try and not spend any money on gaming whatsoever. If your controller breaks, I'm screwed. If phone breaks, I'm screwed. I'd have to probably spend at least a bit of money on that, although it might not be new one. It might have to be something newer than what I have. But until something breaks or those come out, I'm going to try and spend no money whatsoever on gaming, on content, on all of it. Hopefully it works out. Hopefully y'all understand and such what's going on. And hopefully in the future it's work for the e-haul. But I mean, for now, it's the weird purgatory and stuff to where it doesn't particularly end up working out. But I mean, who knows about the future. For now, though, I've been rambling for almost 45 minutes. I mean, and often a somewhat positive is even though there's a lot of games that I don't particularly want to get, and that kind of goes with consoles as well, I still do enjoy making the content for y'all. Even with all the stipulations and all that, I mean, just me being able to ramble on and all that's cathartic in and of itself. I mean, I've discussed that before. Of all the situations I could be in, I've discussed it before, and it still is very much true as I'm right on there. This is the best realistic situation I could think of. The other things that went wrong weren't really directly anyone in particular's fault. It was a combination of a lot of things that just kind of fell into one or another. So now we're here. But I mean, still, as much as I complain and all that, I mean, it's still very much enjoyable, and y'all are the ones overall that make it the most enjoyable. Of course, the views ain't what they used to. YouTube suppressing and all that, I've discussed that in the past because I'm talking negative about YouTube. Of course, they're going to suppress my views and stuff unless they can make money off of it. I understood that. I knew the risk going into making those videos, and it's just exactly what I predicted that happened. I'm not really surprised about that. And then with Odyssey, it's just a weird thing that's not really any of y'all thought of what's going on. If y'all are still watching at this point, I very much thank y'all and salute you and all that. And I mean, it's just really cool that even with all this going on, that y'all still want to watch, and that's very much appreciative. If y'all are still watching at this point, then that shows that y'all, I guess not to sound overly braggy or whatever, but I mean, I guess truly appreciate to some degree of what I'm trying to do, even if it doesn't end up working out to absolute dandiest. I mean, you even say that of Paralympics or however with that, however you want to word that, it kind of goes back to the same thing, but I mean, yeah. This video has been 44 minutes and negative, but I mean, hopefully I can kind of end it on somewhat of positive, even with all this. What I said, like, going on 2 years ago, is still very much true as a bright yonder. It's just the best realistic situation I could ever be in, even now, and I guess to that extent it's worth the yeehaw, and hopefully the future is even worth more yeehaw. For the foreseeable future, hard to say for an exact certainty, but if and when that time comes, I'll do another update video kind of like this and go from there. And hopefully, at least to some degree, although again, not particularly foreseeable, and you'll still be seeing Shadow of course Evo, GTA 6, and then who knows what it'll be on from there. Tentative yeehaw, I guess.